My goodness, and what we've seen is North turning offense coming to fruition because Cam is actually a pocket quarterback. Who knew? Oh my goodness.
Tackles McCaffrey, busting through at the 30, 35, 40. Quick race down the right side. Here he goes at the 50, 40, to the Miami 30, 20, at the 10. A swipe with the ankles. They can't get him. Touchdown, Christian McCaffrey.
They can't get him. They can't get him. You're right.
You can't get him, but you can catch the C3 Panthers podcast live Tuesday nights, 9 p.m., where we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. I do it with my homeboys. Mel Mayock is back in the house. What is up, my friend?
What's going on, man? It's been a few weeks, but I'm glad to be back.
He's getting new to this thing. Cody Lashney, how are you?
What's up, brother? I'm wonderful. There are no more Sundays without Panthers football. Say no more. That's the only thing I need to make me a happy man. Happy to be on the show tonight. Happy to talk some Panthers football. Let's do it, baby.
Mel Mayock, you weren't muted. I was muted.
There you go. But it's good to be back, man. It's been a few weeks. Glad to be back home on the C3 podcast talking Panthers football. Let's do it.
We got Joey Riolano. Joey Riolano's in the house. Let's go ahead and bring him in.
I got it. I'll bring him in. Oh, no.
Guys,
I'll go ahead and bring Joey in.
Tonight's show is roster is set. Kalil goes on IR, and the Cowgirls come to town. It's episode 18.31. We're hopefully going to get Charlotte Vibe in the house tonight as well. So we'll have a lot of added insight, but there's breaking news coming out. And not only I thought that the Kalil injury mess was going to be important, but we also have some new news about Curtis Samuels. We'll be getting to that. We have a lot of cat calls to get to tonight. We have tons of media. We've got tons of tweets. It's a full house. It's a packed show. And guys, we appreciate the support. You can find all our work at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. And we ask you to support us. You can support us by being a part of this new platform we got going on. We've got Shindig. Do you dig it, folks? I dig it. And on top of that, you can be a part of the show where we can feature your questions. You can participate live within the show. We can bring you in like a caller if you'd like, or you can just chat away with your friends. But we're still all the other places, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube. But if you dig it, you want to be a part of the Panther Nation and the C3 Panthers podcast, download the Shindig app or go to the link that is in the notes or the description on YouTube, and we'll be continuing to put that out, more information about that and grow that as we go. Joe Riolano, that freaking Puerto Rican, welcome to this Shindig. Welcome to the party.
Well, it's Tuesday. I'm glad to be here with my homies, and I'm glad we have two special guests tonight. That's really nice to know. Aaron, good to see you, buddy. Thinking about you.
Jab. Good to see you, bud.
Yeah, it's going to be plenty to talk about this evening, so let's get the show on the road.
All right, fantastic. Guys, I think the first thing to talk about this evening would be the Matt Kalil to IR. At least that's what I had planned on talking about first. Matt Kalil, who goes in last week after the third preseason game, right after that one against the Patriots, looked terrible, misses practice, goes to the doctor, has his knee scoped, and then they're acting well. Actually, I would say if you followed the temperature of the comments and the tone of the comments that were around, that you could tell that the Panthers, I felt like, were being more optimistic about Daryl Worley and Amini Solatulu than they were about Matt Kalil. A week goes by. Matt Kalil, now the 53-man roster, is out, and he is now on IR, which stresses our roster, at least in the depth capacity. Mel, I know that Matt Kalil has been on your radar and been something that you've been interested in talking about. How do you feel about how is this news sitting with you?
Well, I never want anybody to be hurt, right? So I'll never want to sound like you're dancing on somebody's misery. But when I went to the game number 2, the Miami Dolphins preseason game, it was obvious to me. And I guess to back up for a minute, we've been talking all offseason, and I've iterated many times with this North Turner offense coming in. My fear was a lot of his offense needs time to develop, right? I mean, the longer developing plays, the deeper drops, getting guys open downfield like he did in San Diego. You need protection to be able to do that. And somebody who was nicknamed Speed Bump by your opponent last year to the team that we lost to 3 times, it was a difference in our season last year. That really concerned me. And when I made a point to watch every snap of Matt Kalil in that Miami game, and he was downright awful. And when I left that game, even though we won, I said, we're a 6-10 team at best with that kind of play. I mean, Cam was going to get destroyed. So I was happy to find out.
6-10, Mel. Good
God. And if Matt Kalil's the starting left tackle and that's how he plays, we're lucky to get to 6-10. I mean, Cam will get destroyed. And you see what happens when he gets under that kind of duress. I mean, that was, shades of 2016. It was just awful. So I was happy to see Moton go over to the left, and I watched every snap of him in that third game. Granted, it's preseason and his first game there, but boy, he looked like a natural. He really looked like a natural. So the big question is, how is the right tackle going to shake out? And if Daryl Williams is coming back long term and you got Moton and Williams, guys, I mean, you're talking to me like a team that has as good a chance as anybody to win the Super Bowl. So
Joey,
I'm happy.
That's fair. Joey, the news of Matt Kalil is not an injury to the strength of the offensive line and their immediate play. In fact, it's many cases it's addition by subtraction. But as some people have raised, Joe Person most recently on Twitter said that this does challenge us depth-wise. Now, the question is, we do go and make a trade, and we get a guy by the name of Corey Robinson out of Detroit, I believe. How do you respond to Mel's comment, particularly about Matt Kalil leaving, and how this impacts us going forward into week 1?
I do believe it challenges us depth wise, but I believe it is a bonus. I hate to say that because of how much money we paid him, but he was an absolute liability. And if we get back healthy, which is the right tackle, his name, can't even think of it off the top of my head, but if he comes back from the dislocated knee or whatever he had.
Daryl Williams?
Yeah, Williams. If Williams comes back, I think we're going to be in fairly good shape.
We should be in great shape. I'll tell you, Van Roten has impressed me.
He has. He talk about stepping your game up. He really has. From the progress he's made from last year to this year, it's pretty significant. It looks very comfortable there.
Absolutely.
It really is, and it makes you wonder, man, did we really just luck into a better offensive line than we had with 2 starters, specifically one that we paid $55 million for? I mean, it's crazy, man. I think right now that right tackle position, it is the one that we have to worry about, because I don't know how you start Taylor Moton anywhere other than the left side, especially since he's proven capable to do so. I mean, having a player that he wasn't even supposed to start, then he was awesome at right tackle, Now there are reports that Daryl Williams he's on the field, he's practicing, he's got his helmet on, and he's looking good out there. So it's like, there could go ahead, Mel.
I can't remember who it was, but there's somebody brilliant on Twitter that said, what does that have to say about talent evaluation when you got a guy who was competing for possibly making the left guard, and then he ends up being a stud left tackle? I can't remember who the brilliant person was. I don't know, Professor. Do you happen to recall?
That would be my friend. And I don't want to be critical of the coaching staff when you don't get to see things. But what we know is that these guys, Ron Rivera has had trouble putting in and making the call, at least. Let's think about this. A guy that Cody mentioned earlier in the before we were getting this going was Jonathan Stewart is now third on the depth chart when it comes to at the Giants. So now, we're talking about bringing in Cap or finding in some, putting in a guy at the right times rather than just sticking with the guy that you had penciled in. And we've seen this continually. I felt like we saw this when you heard at the beginning of the season that Moton was taking reps behind Silatulu, not necessarily in competition with him, right?
Right.
And then on top of that, is that then the same thing was Moton in a true competition for right tackle or left guard at any point? Those questions now are even murkier to me.
Right. It makes you wonder sometimes because sitting up here as fans without doing, these GMs and scouts, they labor for hours. They will probably work 20 plus hours a day. It's ridiculous. But then you got the guys like you and me who have other jobs, other careers, and we're sitting on the couch and we look at it and we go, Moton's our best offensive lineman. Why in the world does it take so much for them to figure that same thing out? Sometimes it's a little baffling, but sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, we also wonder about Ron Rivera. Does he have this seniority complex? Whereas, we have a Manny Silatolu, and he's been on the team. He knows what we do. Do we just go ahead and play him, even though we might have a younger guy? Is he more hesitant to play a younger guy because of the growing pains?
I think that's a great point. Sometimes coaches are reluctant to play the younger guys because mistakes lead to losses. There's an old saying that for every rookie you start on the defensive side of your football team equals one additional loss to your record. That's kind of they're afraid to do that. They're afraid to go with the young guys.
And it does make me wonder. We've had Daryl Williams on the roster since 2015. How long has Daryl Williams been a better right tackle than Mike Remmers was? You know what I mean? These are questions that we got to ask ourselves. But I don't know, man. It's certainly, even though we lost a starting left tackle, the feeling amongst Panther fans doesn't feel as glib as it certainly could.
After game two, I was seriously stuck on 6-10, and now I think sky's the limit. That's crazy, but it's true.
He looked really bad in both the Miami and the New England game, and it was just unfortunate. We were rooting for him to be better than terrible. So it's not like we were rooting against him, but it was plain as day. Sometimes did he play in the New England game?
Yeah.
Yeah, he started that game. And got crushed early on, I think, because it was after that game that he went and got a knee scoped.
Yeah.
And so I think he played the first quarter. Now, and then Moton was on the right side in that game. Now, the thing that I want to be reverent, like you said, these guys labor, they know their stuff, they know the X's and O's. But what I've been doing is that we've been doing this podcast since 2013 now. And nonstop every week. We haven't missed a week. And I've watched a lot of football in this time. I've read every possible potential article from every beat writer that you could think of. And I do think all of these people a lot of them have a lot of great insight. But at the same time, they can act like they know so much more than you. And I'm not trying to be a hot take or anything. I understand that those people drive them crazy, but the eye test, folks, the eye test, it works, right?
Sometimes they just overthink. Sometimes you can overthink things. Like, where do you go to get certain media when all you got to do is go to Charlotte Vibe? You know, I mean, don't overthink things.
All right. Well, we actually have Charlotte Vibe in the house. We're going to bring him in. We're going to rotate Charlotte Vibe in, and then we're going to have to also, in the process, because we all want to get in on the action with Charlotte Vibe and get his insight, we're going to be rotating some of the fellas, some of the C3 podcast in and out to join him. So tonight's special guest is a longtime friend of the show. Chris Jenkins with Charlotte Vibe is here. And Chris Jenkins covers the Panthers, especially closely during the regular season. And what he does that is probably our favorite part is the special Panther player features that he is able to get, and where I'll be message him in the background, say, please ask this. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. But we would like to welcome to the show right now, Chris Jenkins, Charlotte Vibe. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us on our new platform.
Hey, I'm feeling like I don't know what to do. I'm so excited. I see like the screen, and I see like people, and I see the field. I'm waiting for some sound effects and everything, man, and some smoke.
Feel like we're getting the big time, huh? Yeah.
We got it, man. We moved on up.
Definitely moved up a lot. Actually, is this the view? This is almost you guys' seats, isn't it?
No? This is,
this looks like where we like. Is this where we sat that one day? Yeah.
It may be, actually. But I wanted to make it look like the background is for us to look like we are sitting in the stands chatting about the team. And that we are doing here tonight. Chris, you've been following this team through training camp. You've seen them through the preseason. You've done this now. I think you've been doing this. I don't know how long you've been doing this. I know you've been doing it before we even got started. So my question to you is there any different? How does a team feel in relationship to past years at this point?
It feels a lot different. Every year is going to feel different. This one feels different from the sense that you got, obviously, your favorite Mike Shula guy. I know you've probably been, I don't know what you've been doing with yourself over there, not being able to know what the next play is going to be. But we got Turner at offensive coordinator. You got the turnover with Jonathan Stewart, who was our anchor guy for so long. He's now out. You got Christian McCaffrey and C.J. Anderson back there. You got a lot of excitement out of the wide receiver position that you haven't had before. So you got a lot of new pieces on that offensive side that get you excited. And then on the defensive side, they didn't lose a lot. They lost Kurt Coleman, but they didn't lose anybody huge like a Josh Norman, they did a while back. And you had Dontari Poe. So it just seems like it's really, really solid. But I will say this, I feel like one thing that we have to remind ourselves about is that we're in the NFC South. So we got better, but there's actually some pretty solid talent.
Let's face it, even though we hate them, Atlanta and New Orleans, they got some good squads this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge.
I think it's going to be more of a nail-biter season because of that. I don't think we're going to be as good as we could be because of how good the division is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the NFC is always a division that beats each other up, and or has that potential to do so. Go ahead, Cody.
Well, first, I wanted to say to Chris, the video that you made inside the Panthers locker room, I love that kind of stuff, man. Showing off what the players see every day. Like, that's some inside access that, fans really do want to see, but you never really get to see a lot of unless they're featured on a Hard Knocks, which we never want to be. But I just want to commend you for the work that you do, man. But to start off, I was wondering if there's any Panther player who you feel always gives you the best interview when you talk to them.
Well, a lot of that comes from relationship. To get a guy that feels comfortable with you And I'd say right now my favorite guy is Captain Muddlin. He'll always poke at me a little bit, but definitely he'll give me some time and talk. So in previous years, I think it may have been someone different, but I would say Captain Muddlin right now is my guy.
All right. He seems like a fun dude.
Let me follow up on that. I know this isn't really on the itinerary, but that's an interesting point. Last year, he almost seemed like he was on his way out of Carolina. He wasn't very happy. There was a lot of animosity even going on. I mean, back in the day when he was here originally, he was a fan favorite. And then last year it was kind of, it wasn't looking good for the guy. But this year it seems like he has a rebirth. What do you think the difference is?
Well, I think he just got, it's a business, and he knows that he didn't, regardless of what he wanted, he didn't perform well last year, whether he feels like it was his fault he didn't get the opportunity. So he knows in order to keep his job, he needed to take that humble pie and work pretty hard to, be an impact on the team. And even just seeing him do his morning walks with Cam Newton, I think that's pretty interesting, right? You got the star quarterback, this huge 6'4", whatever Cam is, and then you got captain, which is pretty much the shortest guy on the team. And
what's his nickname what's Cam's nickname for Cap?
You guys know? I don't know off the top of my head. You guys know?
I don't know.
No, that one I'm not aware of.
But I talked to Captain about his relationship with Cam, and he says that him and Cam actually hold each other accountable for this morning walk thing, something that Captain had never done before, but he feels like it gives him energy, it gives him really prepared, and really gets his day set by doing that that walk that he does with Cam in the morning. So I feel like that in itself is a sign of some maturity and how much better he wants to be, because he's making sure with the leader of the team, he has this relationship of holding each other accountable. And, he goes against him in in games or in practices to be better. So I think you're going to see a different Captain Muddlin this year.
Very cool.
Yeah, man. So, something that I wanted to get your input on is there's been a lot of talk about this offensive line. And, Matt Kalil, there are not very many scenarios where you lose your left tackle and yet somehow Panther fans seem to feel even a little bit better about the situation than they did with him starting. So, I kind of want to know, what's your feel on this offensive line as it is right now? Is there enough depth, and who starts on the left and the right side?
Yeah, that one I feel like will be answered very quickly this Sunday, because I feel like the preseason is complicated to evaluate things because you don't know what coaches are trying to figure out that game. They may be trying to win, or they may just be trying to get a guy reps. Who knows what they're trying to do. They definitely held their own as far as the line did during the preseason. But, people weren't really trying to win those games. So I feel like we're not going to be doomed, but I feel like come Sunday, I don't know what's going to happen when I can sack Cam for the Cowboys, get Ezekiel Elliott the ball and score. What's going to then start happening to that guy's psyche on the offensive line against the defense?
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's been a big change this year is that we've gone to a new owner. They're already sending out questionnaires from the team PSL wise to, if they want, which logo they want at midfield. I think that was out today. So Mel, you need to be checking your inbox.
Oh, I already voted.
All right. I hope you voted for just the Panther logo, because that 2-state logo didn't look it's dated. That thing needs to be updated.
Well, actually, I did a write-in candidate, but the C3 logo. But
nice, very good, very good, very good. So you've got a new ownership. You've got you really have turned a kind of a new leaf, Chris, when it comes to all the new coordinators. And J-Dub just mentioned this in the YouTube chat room, is that you've got Eric Washington on the defensive side. You've got Norv Turner now. A lot of the supplementary coaches have changed. Do you think, has there been, I know that sometimes it's just every year training camp is training camp, is there any more focus or seriousness to the coaching staff? Has there been a change in temperature at all that how you enter, not you personally, but maybe how they interact? Do you notice anything, or is it pretty much par for course?
It's, I don't spend a lot of time on the field in the preseason. I know people have made a lot about the new coordinators and coaches. Even Chase Blackburn is on the special teams now that he's responsible for. And Coach Rivera's talked about those guys and just feels like everything's par. Whatever that guy's personality is that's in that leadership role for that position group, that his men are in line with that. And, I can't say anything seems great or anything seems bad, but I guess the good thing is everybody seems on board and there's unity with all these moving pieces that you got in. I feel like you could easily see some disconnection coming in there when guys were used to this or guys had this and all these changes, but everybody seems pretty happy with what's going on. So I think that's positive for the unity part from these new coaches that they have on there.
Hey, Chris, it's Joey. How are you?
Joey, where's your camera at? Come on, man.
Man, I got a face made for radio, man.
You got to put it like a or something.
I wanted to ask you a question about C.J. Anderson. We really didn't see very much of him in the preseason. What do you think the plan is for him?
I mean, sometimes you guys got to give me these questions beforehand because I'm like, I haven't even talked to CJ. So now I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to go in the locker room and I'm going to say, hey, CJ, what are we doing with you?
Well, we will all be tuned in for that one.
Right.
Yeah, man. That's content.
I'm going to have to defer and say, I really don't think I've talked to CJ. I haven't. And I think that's an excellent question about what's the plan for him, because I know at one point it seemed like they were trying to push carries to Cameron Artis-Payne so they could make that decision on him, and obviously they kept him. And now that they kept him, well, how are you going to use McCaffrey, Cameron Artis-Payne, and CJ? So,
well, I'll tell you exactly how the easiest person in that equation is Cameron Artis-Payne, who they will never give a chance to. He will be on the roster. They just won't ever play him. So it's going to be McCaffrey, and CJ and Payne over there with no hat on his head on Sunday.
Well, I hope not. I mean, they could go wishbone. They could always go wishbone, but I don't see that happening. I really think they haven't used him much because I think once the season starts, we will see more of it. I think he's a more than capable runner, a fantastic pass blocker, and for him not to get a handful of touches, I mean like 10 a game, would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because one thing that you did see from Norv on the offense was Christian McCaffrey. And you didn't see them mixing in. I kind of feel like one game I saw C.J. Anderson a little bit, but the most I feel like we heard about C.J. Anderson was when he was wearing sweats down there in South Carolina to practice every day.
Yep.
And that's
Gosh, that made me feel nauseous just looking at the pictures.
Exactly.
It definitely did. So, hey, Chris, we have a question in our chat from one of our longtime loyal fans. His name is J-Dub, and he wants to know if any of the coordinators, any of the new guys that we have this year, has any of them impressed you, or have you seen anything different, maybe some new inklings in what we do on offense or defense that you maybe haven't seen before? Another fastball for you, man.
No, that's fine. Not yet, because they really kept things so. Even the players were saying it because there were a lot of questions, more specifically about the offensive coordinator, because of course he's the biggest Well, he's the change that people are most excited about. We had one on the defensive side as well. But they've said that Torrey Smith was talking about how really vanilla and plain that they've kept things, and they do have a lot of creases and a lot of changes to their play calling that they can do, but they haven't shown yet. And practice anymore, we're not allowed to see practically. We can't see practice anymore. We get to see the first 20 minutes, which is stretching, and then individual team drills. We don't get to see them do anything as a unit. So I'm going to be discovering on that part a lot with you guys on Sunday, as far as what's different that we're really going to see.
All right, we just got a couple last questions for you, and we can you can hang out if you'd like. We can, or you can and go on. I know you got a lot going on. How much does your schedule change when it comes to the regular season? Because I feel like I know you wear a lot of hats. I know you do a lot of social stuff in Charlotte. I know you have photography going on. You do video stuff, and then now this must add to your daily diet a little bit.
How can I jokingly say my social friends don't appreciate it too much? It's a tremendous change starting tomorrow. I didn't go to anything today, but starting tomorrow to change, because now pretty much you're tuned to football all day tomorrow, with going to practice, going into the locker room, talking to the guys. And then, I'm doing more content this year. So there's going to be not a daily video, but you probably could expect 3 to 4 videos a week that are going to go up. I got a lot of guys. I'm going to be interviewing more than just players this year. So, for example, radio personalities, whether it's, Eugene Robinson, whether it's former players like Roman Harper and guys like that I'm going to be having on the show. So right now, I'm just super busy just trying to coordinate even the travel schedule. I mean, I wish I was bigger, that I had a travel agent and they just told me what my itinerary was for the season. But it's pretty treacherous, but it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
And last question for you: what is on the horizon for Charlotte Vibe this year? You said you got some video, the potential daily videos. What are you going to be focusing on? Because I know that you do a lot of emphasis when it comes to the player interaction, that personal, the stuff that we like the most, because we read all the beat writers that are just covering the instant news, hey, it was second down and Curtis Samuels dropped the ball or whatever. But there is such a desire and hunger to get to know these guys. What specific projects do you foresee coming, or not even specific? What would you like to see Charlotte Vibe do this season that maybe you haven't done in the past?
Well, it's going to be a lot more of everything. Number one, I got a site redesign going on right now. So if you go to my site, there's not any new content on there. So I'm trying to finish the site redesign this week. And then, my motto that I go to say is I work for the fans. I want to be the fans connection, the most connected, the person that connects you to the players the most. That's what I want to focus on. So I'm going to be doing a lot more. Hey, what do you want to know? Who do you want to see? What is your question? And then I'm going to work for you and go and get those answers for you. So just like, what was it, Joe earlier with CJ Anderson? I forget who asked the CJ Anderson question.
It was Joey.
Yeah, that was Joe.
It was Joey. So tomorrow, that's going to be my priority, is getting that question answered about CJ Anderson, whether that's talking to him and or asking Coach Ron Rivera for it. And then I want to have fans on the show once a week. So that's going to be a tall order. But there's a lot of good guys like the CP3 team and some other guys out there that I know are really good at what they do. And I'm going to use my platform to give those people a voice and really just try to build a bigger community of people like us that are out there talking about the Panthers. That's my biggest focus. So that's going to be a lot of time to try to get all that in place, because I haven't done it before.
It does take a lot. It's huge to coordinate, and then you run into the ultimate thing that we run in, is that with all good intentions, the internet and technology will screw you up like crazy. So we are hoping to get things running more smoothly throughout the season. And we want to get you back, Chris. We want to get you on and continue to work with you throughout the season. You've been such a great supporter of the show, man. We really appreciate you having you on, man.
Hey, to everybody that's watching, it's recorded so you can play the tape back. Whatever you guys need and want from me this season, let me know. I'm going to be trying to get it for you. I won't say we'll try. I will get a lot more than not done for you guys. However you need it, however you want to.
All right, well, here's what I need, Bob. I need a hot dog and a beer at halftime during the game. Can you arrange that?
All right, what I need you to do is I'm going to come from the left side. I'm going to throw it from the 300 level.
I'm at the 300 level. I'm with you. I'm at the 300
How about
level.
this? No, Chris, we got a solution for him. Yes, Chris can do it. He says this: download the app, Mel, and pre-order your hot dog.
Mel, you know what? I will bring you a hot dog. I will bring you a hot dog from the press box. I promise you. I don't know how sloppy it's going to be by the time I get to you.
I'll take it, brother.
I will bring you a hot dog.
I'm going to DM you my seat numbers here soon.
Cody, the reaction in the YouTube chat has been nothing but showing what you said. Chris Jenkins, man of the people.
A man of the people. He's working for you, Panther fans. We love guys like Chris Jenkins. We love having him on the show. I appreciate your work, man. I've been a fan of everything that you're doing. Keep it up, man. Your work does not go unnoticed. That is for sure.
Hey, very much appreciated. I haven't met you yet, so it's been good to meet you. I don't think I've met you yet. I feel like this is the first time.
I'm the newbie on the show. No, man, I'm the newbie. I've probably been on for maybe about 2 months and some change now. I'm Cody. I used to be in the YouTube chat, and then Tony was like, well, you know, this guy might be all right. So he started to have me on the show, man. But I'm just a fan like everybody in the chat, man. I love the C3 podcast, and I love the guests they have on. So, yeah, man, I'm on here rocking.
Well, good to meet you,
Chris,
sir.
Before you go, tell them how they can follow you on social media and find the man of the people.
Hey, you guys know that my Instagram account was hacked? How about that? That's a breaking news for us.
Oh,
no, we did not know that. I don't use the gram. That's for the kids.
Well, fortunately, they haven't done anything except revoke my access, so I'm waiting to get it back yet. But if you see any pictures posted of me that maybe looks questionable or something like that, I'm just telling you now. Like, look, let me show you. I can't. This is what happens when I go to my Instagram right now, guys. I can't.
Oh man! You know what happens? They're gonna post a picture of him running a 4.55. And
it's the Russians, man. It's the Russians.
It's the Russians. But to go back, you guys got to move on. Everything is at Charlotte Vibe, Instagram, Twitter. The website is Charlotte Vibe, and truly anything that anybody, whether it's CP3 guys or people watching the show, if you got something that you want to know about the players or questions to ask, let me know, and I will work my butt off to get those questions answered for you guys and be a resource. So I love what I do, and I love the support, and I appreciate everybody sincerely.
We appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks so much. That's Chris Jenkins, Charlotte Vibe, a longtime friend of the podcast, but more importantly, a longtime friend and man of the people, representing the Carolina Panthers. He does great work. So, guys, we're going to move on and continue to move on through the show. We've got a lot to talk about. We do have another guest tonight, and T-Money, who is going to be joining us in just a moment to kind of talk about some of this roster and some of the changes going through with this team. Guys, let's move on real quick. Let's just have one final note before we get to T-Money, is that today, I believe, Curtis Samuel, and you can Curtis Samuel he missed practice suddenly. It was considered, or it looked like it was going to be an illness, but it turns out that this was more problematic. Cody, go ahead.
Yeah, the Panthers discussed today that he had a medical issue, which was not why he was at practice. My understanding is he had a small procedure to fix an irregular heartbeat. This is something described to me as minor. He is likely out week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. No firm timetable, but that is what we know. emphasis on minor, Andrew.
All right, you hear heart, though. You certainly hold your breath, and you wish Curtis Samuel the best. Glad to hear it is minor.
All right, well, what we have here is, guys, it turns out that, and I don't know what type of heart procedure is minor. I know that has been one of the major things that's been discussed on Twitter. I went ahead and contacted Dr. David Chow via Twitter, not like official contact. He has been on the show before, and I said, we need some insight into this. Joey, this goes to one of those things that generally I feel like we hear this type of condition and procedure when it comes to the bigger fellas, not the little guys like Curtis Samuel. I don't know. What, did he have a pacemaker put in? I mean, I know you don't know the details, but what is this? It's a little out of nowhere.
They addressed a heart murmur, I think is what I read somewhere. And
they're not uncommon either. I mean, I've been told that I have a regularly irregular heartbeat. Right. And then
my wife has one. Yeah. And it is very common, but I think they can be dangerous. So they're probably taking extreme caution because, you know, how physically demanding and taxing professional football is on the body. I do believe if it's nothing more than just an irregular heartbeat, he should be able to come back this season. They may give him some medication, but hopefully, you know, we'll see him in week 2 because that's a big loss. He was really coming on. I mean, coming into his own. So
that's what happened last year.
Yeah. Not being able to play, not having him is a pretty big blow.
It's a huge blow. And it really makes me wonder, like, you know, he played so well in the preseason and he was looking lights out. I mean, he made Stephon Gilmore eat his dust on a few different occasions. Mm-hmm. So, like, what happens that right now they end up finding this heart condition that he has? And, like, what procedure are they really even going to do? You know, how far has modern medicine come that, oh, yeah, you know, you have a heart procedure done, you'll miss a week of NFL football, but then you'll be right back at it. You know, it's just, it's a super weird thing that really did come out of left field.
So, they actually did do a procedure. They did do something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what they're saying, yes.
That makes me think that the timetable is going to be a little different. You know, it could be something as simple as going in through like an artery and, you know, how they have the little camera and checking around his heart, trying to find where the murmur is. And it could be something like that, which, like my mother had that done recently. And she was laid out, albeit, you know, she's 60-something years old. She was out about 10 days.
It doesn't seem like it's something that if this is something that they can do, like with that type of procedure where they're doing camera type stuff, it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that physically, it's not like open heart surgery. Right. Where they got to crack you open. So I don't think the recovery time, physically, for him to just be back and moving around and or even maybe even lifting weights is a long time. I think that the probably the real weight, and we'll have to see what the doctors say, especially as we get more details of what exactly it was and how you go about to pass it to fix it. And that is that you might want to slowly introduce more strenuous exercise where you get your heart rate up and you go, you know, those types of things. I would think is where if your heart's a muscle, is that it's kind of like, hey, you almost in some ways have to rehab it a little by taking it slowly. I just don't believe that, you know, you want them to go and push a big, get the endorphins going right away and running full out, getting the heartbeat up to 125, 140 or whatever it is. That's where I think it was going to be. We've got a
Greg,
question.
I'll publish it once more. Greg asked, is it going to be a reoccurring problem, or does this procedure fix it? Or the Bat Daddy 52, as he is known. And I mean, dude, your guess is probably as good as ours. They're saying that it's a minor problem, or it's a minor procedure. But I mean, really, Ron Rivera, he doesn't talk about any of this. So we really have no way of knowing, man.
And really, to be perfectly honest, I think when it comes to the heart, there aren't a whole lot of actually true minor procedures. You are talking about your heart here. Like Tony said, we're not cracking chests open and that sort of thing, but I believe hopefully tomorrow we'll have a bit more info and be able to get a better feel on when and if he's going to be coming back. Hopefully.
So we'll be waiting for details. I know that we're all and first we would like to extend our well wishes, our prayers, and hope that this is not something serious. We hope that this doesn't affect his football life tremendously in the long run. But again, it's unfortunate. It's not. Look, this is not in the injury prone categories. This is, this is a real health issue that can come up on anybody at any time, not the heart issue specifically. But, Joe, you know this more than anybody, is that all of a sudden someone, his life can be altered, and it's not about them being injury prone or something to that effect. Guys, we've got a return of the part of the C3 family here to help us talk a little bit about the roster tonight. We've got Tadeus, T-Money, St8 Facts. Welcome to back to the C3 Panthers podcast.
What's up, Tony, man? What's up, everybody else, man? You guys, man.
T-Money, what's up, buddy?
Long time since I've been around, man.
Too long.
All right. Well, we got you on here. We're going to pick your brain for about 5 minutes on the roster, and then we're going to go to the cat calls to finish up the show. Guys, today is that we keep really we go thin in the secondary, right? We because it doesn't seem like there's a ton of guys back there. We kept 4 running backs. We kept 2 quarterbacks. Where do you think, what stood out to you about the changes in the roster, or the guys that made it and didn't?
To me, I guess one of the main surprises was, us kind of giving up on Deshaun Hall that fast, far as putting him off the active roster. Other than that,
why do you think that happened? Tell us this. Tell us where. I mean, I know it's surprising, but is that this is a guy that was drafted in the 3rd round. They used a compensatory pick when it came from, I believe, the Josh Norman exodus to help him or to get this pick. Why do you think that Deshaun Hall did Deshaun Hall not show the growth? Where did this come from? And was it just surprising because it was so quick, or was it surprising because you thought he should be on the roster?
It was surprising just to give up on him that quickly, because and this is what I've been telling a lot of the haters, we were really getting 2 draft classes at one time, because you have to remember how many of our guys didn't play there at all. I was there when Deshaun Hall got hurt at training camp last year. And so him and Korn and some of those other guys, they're pretty much having their rookie year right now. So to give up on somebody who didn't play their rookie year, they just really – he showed, but F.A. really showed what he, showed, I guess, that he should have that spot between him and Brian Cox.
That's a great point, man. By the way, I'm Cody, by the way. I don't think I've ever met you before, man. What's going on, T-Money? I've definitely heard a lot about you, man.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, man. F.A. Odaba. I remember when I first saw him last season, I kept on calling him Obama just because that was the name that I could remember. But, yeah, man, his story has really seemed to kind of captivate people even outside the Panther fan base. You know, he was born in, I believe, Nigeria. He was trafficked into the UK, and then he ended up going to the Netherlands. And yeah, the guy made the 53-man roster over Deshaun Hall. And our coaches kept him on the practice squad last year. So this is a guy that they see a lot of potential in. And I'm wondering if maybe he has a future with us, maybe a little down the road.
Yeah, what I liked more so than just his story, because we are, as Panther fans, we know we keep a guy for his story, is he actually produced. Every time I see him on that field, he was doing something, whether it was pressuring, whether it was getting a sack, whether it was making plays in the backfield. It wasn't just, even though I know some of y'all love him, it wasn't just a sunshine story. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a great point, T-Money. I've been trying to avoid talking about the story personally, and not because I don't think it's worthwhile to note and to celebrate how somebody can kind of just burst onto the scene. But I think you're right. I think he truly earned this on merit. Like you said, is that he made more of an impact. He has a more of a defensive end body than Deshaun Hall did. And he seemed to know how to use it. And what I saw from Obata was that he was raw and that the football technique was unfamiliar to him in the typical fashion. It didn't look as polished as you may have seen with some other players, but he found ways to leverage his body, to get around guys, to get underneath. And when it didn't always look pretty, he was still making a difference. So I only expect those things to be refined. And I think you're exactly right by pointing out that this was just as merit-based as it was story-based.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it was some times that I seen him when he made plays, but maybe his first move didn't work. But he just, and I mean, that's part of what they say about him, being hard working and still get to the quarterback. So yeah, your swim move might not work. And a lot of guys, the sorrier pass rushers, they quit right there when that first move doesn't work. And he just kept consistently working towards the quarterback. And honestly, I don't really remember Deshaun making plays like that.
No, he was non-existent. He struggled. He didn't have really, his only move was the outside speed rush, and that wasn't even that impressive, to be honest. I think if you go back, you saw the most of Deshaun Hall in that Buffalo Bills game, where in the very first, they gave him a lot of time in that first preseason game to go ahead and try to make a statement. He tried to beat that Jordan, which is the right tackle for Buffalo, to the outside. He had trouble doing that. He couldn't win on the bull rush because he's so skinny, and he has a lot of growing into that big long body he's got, but he didn't have an inside move. And guys, we know that it takes several years for these defensive ends. And Mel, I've said this over and over on this show. The defensive end is not something that is just a guy that you step in and you can learn right away, unless you are a Myles Garrett, or make an impact right away. And I think we saw that with Deshaun Hall. He had a redshirt injury year his freshman year. He's a rookie this year. And I think that in this case, the Carolina Panthers had some other issues and some other places on the line, on the roster, that they just said, you know what, we may not have time to use a 53-man roster spot to develop this guy over the next 2 years.
Because he was never going to win the pure speed rusher job, because Marquise Haynes way outproduced him in that and is way faster.
And don't underestimate the fact that Deshaun Hall is a David Gettleman guy, right?
Exactly.
I mean, Hurney's got his guys that he's putting his reputation on. So if there's a question between a Hurney guy and a Gettleman guy, it's gonna be a Hurney guy.
True.
When I think that definitely would have played a factor in the decision. You know, I didn't bring you in. You've done nothing to impress, and I've got guys on the roster I picked that I think are better, and that was that.
Yeah.
All right, so we continue to look through this roster. I feel like if we look at it, it's actually the Obata story is pleasantly surprising, but we knew we were searching some. Did we keep Haynes on the 53?
Yeah. Yep. Oh,
yeah, he's on the 50.
So what we're talking about is Horton, Haynes, and Obata. Then you get, did Love make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then you're talking Butler, Love, also, and then
KK.
our two starters. Yeah, KK.
Yeah.
Is it really looks like those defensive ends and Peppers is that we're looking for a guy that can supplement and come in and just do enough when Addison and Peppers need a breather. You know, you're going to continue to look for Vernon Butler to progress. The linebacker position, we all knew there was no questions there. We're all excited about Shaq Thompson. But, guys, we kept only 4 corners. Let's turn our attention to the secondary. Mel, how are you feeling about the secondary? It has been doom and gloom. You are the doom and gloom guy tonight, talking about the Matt Kalil and how it was going to set us back to 6-10. I thought that was
Whoa. How was that doom and gloom when I said that was the past? And
because
then
I thought we could have at least been 9-7 with them.
That's something I would expect to exaggerate and go with.
No,
we did it last year.
T-Money knows what he's talking
did it last year with him. So but my thing is,
fallen guy.
The thing with the secondary.
So how do I feel about the secondary?
A lot of people have been concerned about the secondary, and because we only keep, I guess, 4. We didn't keep a lot back there.
I was going to say the thing that raised my eyebrow was we kept more safeties and cornerbacks. And that's a little unusual. But as long as we stay healthy, we're good. But you got to, I think the point was made that you got some versatility there. Captain Munderland can play slot, as can Cornelder, and they can play the outside. So that they're kind of going with 4 corners, knowing there's some versatility there. So let's say Bradbury goes down, then you can put Captain Munderland out there if you need to. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, but he's done it before.
God, no.
Well,
God, I don't even want Captain in the slot, let alone outside. Like, we need to give Corn that shot to play nickel, man.
Well, I got to tell you, that's one concern you got. Is 4 corners on this team. You only got 4 corners.
I thought they were going to keep I did think they were going to keep Lorenzo Doss on the active roster just because they've been in love with him the past 2 really training camps and OTAs, but he just didn't make enough plays in the game. And
I thought he looked all
right,
though. I didn't think he looked that bad.
Yeah, because he didn't look that good. Like, all training camp every year we hear, he gets an interception every practice and he gets deflections. He did look good comparable to Ladarius Gunter. Gunter looked trash. They just straight attacked him for like a whole quarter, half, whatever he played.
Yeah. And Seymour needs to change his name to C less.
Yeah, he Seymour changed his name to Beat More because he got beat more.
Yeah,
God,
exactly.
He did. Is that way?
And even I give so many excuses. His girlfriend was having a baby, and he tried to say KB pushed him. I was like, okay, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, we got a hangnail. Yeah.
That was just bad.
All right, let's get your final thought. Let's switch over to the offensive line because we want to get not the offensive line, but just the offense in general. We want to get the straight facts from T-Money. Tell us your straight facts about the offensive side of the ball when we talk about this 53-man roster.
Offensively, as far as weapons wise, I think even with Curtis not being there right now, this is probably the best weapons Cam has had since he's been a Carolina Panther. Somebody that I was really sleep on is Jarius Wright. I did not realize he was going to be looking this good, this fast with us. I mean, I heard, he was, his best year was in North offense, but he really, even in the preseason, you could see he was a third down machine.
Yep. You could tell.
Joey, they call him Mr. Clutch.
And rightfully so.
Oh, go ahead.
He is a new version of Ricky Froll. He's that guy that knows right where to go to get the first down.
Good call.
And
I'm so glad you didn't say Jericho Cotchery. I'm so sick of everybody talking about every veteran that could come and make any sort of impact being like, it's our Jericho Cotchery.
No,
I'm glad Joey went.
Jarius Wright is what Russell Shepard was supposed to be, in my opinion. He's faster than Jericho and faster than Russell Shepard, in my opinion. But what I like better is that Jarius Wright has been a receiver for a long time. Russell Shepard really is a special teams captain that they tried to play at receiver. And this year I'm starting to feel like Torrey Smith is kind of that Russell Shepard that we're giving too much playing time to, when maybe we should have DJ Moore on the other side of Devin Funchess. And running back wise, can we cut Cap? I'm so tired. He has no.
Oh, now you're gonna make Tony mad. You're gonna make Tony mad now. Right out, T-Money.
I can see it. I can see, like, I can't remember what game that was where he started right and tried to go left and get in the end zone. He's just too slow. Like, it's a good thought. If you were faster, you would have made it. If it was CJ Anderson, he would have gotten in. But, I mean,
that's the stupidest
when you drafted him, a 25-year-old running back.
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing. See, look, hater, man, that dude ain't done nothing but produce. That's what he does.
He
averaged 4.9 yards a carry last year. He has done nothing wrong except for, you could say, all right, well, he had a fumble and it wasn't a big game. I think it was the Super Bowl.
I think a key question is,
he didn't dress for the Super Bowl.
Do you go with Cap or do you go with CJ Anderson? And you probably go with CJ Anderson, but I wouldn't cut Cap. I like him. I mean, if there's an injury, you need him there. But
yeah, you don't feel like Kenyon Barner showed more than Cap did?
What? CJ showed up more than.
I feel like Kenyon played.
Oh, Kenyon Barner?
He can run punch back where Cap can't do that. So I will say like that. If you're going to
hurt, I would bet on McCaffrey getting hurt more than CJ Anderson. So I feel like you would need somebody who can do McCaffrey's job.
No. Look, Kenyon Barner is not that good. He was not making. He did not look good. He didn't even look good against the threes, man. He looked okay, right? He had one long run and one preseason game, but he was playing in the fourth quarter. You got to remember that. Where Kenyon Barner offers something on this team is special teams, punt return, kickoff return, right? That is his true value. If Christian McCaffrey goes down, it's not like you're going to be asking Kenyon Barner to do the types of things that Christian McCaffrey did. You're just going to stop doing what Christian McCaffrey did and start doing more of what CJ Anderson does. Now, what I think is that if you say that you want to cut Cap, I will give you that only because there's no reason in keeping a guy that you refuse to play.
That's true.
If Cap was to get cut right now, he wouldn't be in the league.
Oh, shush.
Sort of like the other guy I can't stand that we keep around, Amini Silatolu. When we cut Amini, he was out the league for what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, Amini Silatolu about to damn start over Taylor Moton. Thanks, Ron.
That's Ron.
All right. Well, look, hey, I know Mel Mayock has got to get to bed. Mel, we're about to jump into the cat calls. Before you go, it's great having you back on. We're trying to learn the chemistry of this new platform, but I think it has tremendous opportunity for us to continue to grow the show and the interaction of the show.
Yeah, I like
Mel, it was nice to have you back tonight. How about you drop a little ice up pick on us before you leave?
Yeah, well, hey man, I'm sticking with kind of the spirit of icing up, and that's just telling people that they just need to get ready. They just need to realize that they are not ready for prime time. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. And this week, the Roaring Riot sent out a email to everybody saying, change all your profiles to beat Dallas, make everything beat Dallas. So I'm just going to stay in that vein. And all of these Dallas Cowboy fans, they're coming into our house. I've seen too many of them already, and they're going to come in there. It's going to be blue in that stadium. But I'm going to tell all them folks to ice up because they are going to go down, and they're going to go down hard. And I'm looking so forward to it. So those fans just need to ice up and get ready for a long day on Sunday.
We're going to do our picks too this year. To give us your pick for the game, you're on the spot.
Yeah, I'm taking Panthers 27-24.
Mel goes Panthers 27-24. I would say this. You said get ready for the prime time, but boy, you act like our defense ain't prime time.
Well, I'm thinking there's going to be some end of the game shenanigans where we're just trying to that's one problem I have with the Panthers historically is when you get a lead, we don't put the foot down on the throat. We don't have that killer instinct always. We tend to play to not lose. So I think we're going to run out to a nice big lead, and then we're going to play conservative. We're going to play not to lose, and then they're going to come back and get close. It's just the way I see it. We'll see. We'll hold on.
I can't wait. Our defense is going to stomp them, bro. Don't worry. They can't beat us. They don't got what it takes on the offense to beat us. And our offense, if it's clicking, it's on. Mel Mayock, tell them how they can follow you on Twitter and then go to bed.
Anytime at Panthers Drafter, you hit me up. I'm ready to talk football. And if you're going to be out at the Panthers game, I'll be at the Roaring Riot tailgate. And I'm there every game. So if you're coming, hit me up. I'd love to hook up with you.
So good to see our brother again in the podcast. It's been nice. We've missed him, but we know he's been having such a blast, and he's been working hard. Mel, don't be a stranger. We still love you. Love us.
You got it, brother. Good to be back. Good to see you. All right. All right, guys. We'll see you.
Mel Mayock in the house. All right, we're going to bring Cody back in. Guys, Joey, I want to turn the mic over to you and just let's continue just quickly on the roster. And we haven't really talked too in depth on some things there. We've talked a little bit on the defense. We've talked a little bit on the offense. But, guys, this has been a story. Or where do you see the storylines on this roster, Joey, that were of interest to you?
Obviously, the offensive line is a big story and what we're going to do there. For me, I'm really curious what the roles of the running backs are going to be. Are we going to see Christian McCaffrey in a lot of single back and shotgun formation? And then when Anderson comes in, are we going to see Arma and Anderson together in the I formation?
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah, I would love to see that. So I'm real curious how they're going to use Anderson because they use him so sparingly in the preseason. I want to know what their plan is. So I'll be very interested in seeing that.
Cody, we'll turn the mic over to you. Welcome back in. Well, you've been behind the scenes producing it all. What we've got is the final roster is set. is that it looks like look, one of the sad stories of this roster was Elijah Hood, who gets hurt on the very first play of the fourth quarter of the fourth preseason game. But when we talk about this roster, unfortunately, why is it so hard to find the Panthers and their full-on roster? It looks like they just I'm looking at this and they show all the people that got waived. Where are the interest to you? I know Searles going to injured reserve. He will not be a Panther this year. Jason Vanderland, tight end, where I think we're particularly thin at. I don't know what to think of Manhurts just yet. Ian Thomas is obviously a rookie, and Jason Vanderland is now on the practice squad. What's sticking out to you about this roster, Cody?
Yeah, so there's a few things, man. You look at safety, and we're basically, we have Mike Adams, Rashawn Golden, Denoris Searcy, and Colin Jones. So that instilled a bunch of faith in you right there. But also at the linebacker position, we kept more than I thought we would. Ben Jacobs, Andre Smith, Jared Norris, Jermaine Carter. And, I'm wondering if there's a sense of, maybe a little bit of worry going on about Thomas Davis missing the first 4 games of the season. Maybe with just Luke and Shaq, maybe they're used to that safety blanket of having 3 linebackers on the field. And, Tony, I know you've always advocated for having 2 on the field. I feel like there'd never be a better time to try that out than right now, especially if you want to see what Shaq Thompson's made of. But, I mean, I'm really wondering about, the linebacker depth and why we decided to keep so many. But as much of a question mark that is, I feel like we're going into another season with just another warm body at safety. And frankly, I think it's a little bit worrisome. It's something that worries me more when we play Atlanta and Philadelphia and New Orleans. You need to have good safety play, and I don't know if we have that.
Who is your warm body?
I think the opposite, though. I think they're going to play more 3 linebackers because then you wouldn't only kept 4 corners. Because if you're only going to play 2 corners, that would mean you would need another corner to come in, or they going to be playing more maybe big nickel with Colin Jones as linebacker slash corner.
Don't say that.
I'm just saying. Look how many.
And that's another thing, man. Colin Jones does not have a lot of fans in the Panther fan base. I mean, us here, I know our man Pat Coltrane is always joking on him. Colin Jones is not somebody that, Mike Adams and Denoris Searcy, those are your 2 starters. But we still haven't seen a lot out of Rashawn Golden. And he was, I believe, a 3rd-round draft pick. So yeah.
Joey, what'd you see? What'd you see out of Rashawn Golden? Because Joey,
I have to be really honest and say what I saw from him, I wasn't exactly thrilled with. But
we're talking the 4th preseason game.
Right, I know he's young. And he's still learning. And I believe he will get there. But I don't know how much they'll be using him early on in the season.
Right. I mean, his best has been hitting Torrey Smith.
What's that?
I said his best play so far has been hitting Torrey Smith. I mean,
right. I think he played better in the first 3 games. He was not a problem. He was not exposed against New England, and you thought that there was an opportunity. He was in there. He was in there when Tom Brady was in there still. They had him because Searcy was out. So he had a bad game in the 4th preseason. He looked lost, like Joey messaged me. He was out of position. So we know that, my hope of him being all of a sudden the starting free safety was clearly was tempered a little bit at that moment. Now, with Mike Adams and Searcy, I think those are guys you can – I think Searcy is a good player, guys. I think you'll be excited about him when he's on the field. As long as he's out of – and I expect him to be on the field in the first game. It's got to be. You're talking 3 weeks. I hope he's out of the concussion protocol. I get what you're saying, T-Money, about the not having a ton of corners, but it seems like this is what we just didn't do is keep corners just because we needed corners, but because those guys weren't that great. But if you think of who we got James Bradbury, we got Dante Jackson. They're starting, right? When you run the nickel, if you run the nickel, which has the 5 defensive back set, you can run James Bradbury, you can run Dante Jackson, you can run Mike Adams, you can run Denoris Cersei, and then you can rotate whoever you want at the nickel corner. And right now, it's probably going to be Captain Munnerlyn. But today, Ron Rivera said that they felt pretty good at nickel, at that slot corner position. So I don't think it's far-fetched. I think that we're kind of built for that. The question is, do the safeties, can those two old guys, can one of them really be an effective free safety that can be a center fielder with that speed? I don't know if Mike Adams or if Cersei really have the speed to be.
I think Mike Adams can be. I don't think Cersei is going to start the whole year. I think they're getting Gaulden ready to at some point in the year take Cersei's spot. But
Wow.
is this the? I mean, I know our talent on the roster is better. Is this the most questions we've had about our team going into week 1? We still don't really know DJ Moore's role. We still don't really know who's going to play right tackle. We still don't know Gaulden's role. We didn't know Dante for sure was starting until today. It's a lot of guys that I feel like we still who's going to be the third linebacker. Like, we're less than a week from the game and we still don't know that. Is it going to be Carter? Is it going to be Smith? Is it going to be?
That is a really good question. And I know you brought up the amount of corners that we kept. I believe our team has a ton of confidence in Dante Jackson, and I want to play a little clip as to just his bravado and why I feel they have so much trust in him.
Playing their first NFL game. Just really just the speed of it. I know it's going to be a lot different from preseason, but nervous. I think the nervous ship has sailed for me probably within the second week of camp, because I just felt a little bit more comfortable than I was probably like OTAs, mini camp. So by the time the camp came, by the time we came back out here, the nervous level went all the way down. The confidence level just went up. So I'm really feeling pretty confident.
So listen, man, that man has no fear. I've been saying for a long time that Dante Jackson, man, he's what we need at that position right now. And I feel like, the amount of speed that he brings, if you have him across from Bradbury, that also makes me think that that's why they're not worried about safety so much, is because you're going to have those two guys to be able to fall back on a lot. So, I don't think there are, to answer what you were saying, that there are more questions on than any other year. I feel like there was some more in 2016 after Josh Norman left. But, I mean, I don't feel as concerned about this roster as I did even a year or two ago, even though you're right, there definitely are some question marks going into this team going into Sunday.
I think that I feel the way both of you feel. And which is weird, because when T-Money is right, there are more questions, it seems like, when it comes to the uncertainty of what is actually we're going to see on the field when we see the full game plan enacted, right? And this right tackle position, when it comes to Daryl Williams, is he going to be starting, this and that? These are all really big issues right there at the same time. But similarly, or what Cody's saying, this is the first, I feel like, even though those questions exist, even though we lost Matt Kalil, we've been suffering these injuries, I still feel like this is like the better. I feel like we have a team that's going to win, despite
we have to stay healthy.
Well, one of the things about 2015, though, and again, I was probably kicking myself in the butt for saying this, because I kind of think the 2015 comparisons are overdone. But how about this? Let's look at Philadelphia and what they did last year. Some of it was just simply just overcoming the obstacles that were in your place. And for some reason, I have confidence that this team has the talent And it simply comes to this: is our front seven is nasty, straight nasty. It might be the best front seven we've ever had, or rivaling the 2003 front seven. But I think it's better than 2013. But I think this is that we got Cam. We have Cam. And like here, it don't even matter. Like, this is the same trash line that we've always been accustomed to. But now we have a couple of extra parts in the offense. We got Christian McCaffrey, who is so exciting. And we've got North Turner that seems innovative enough to know what to do with him.
Yeah, no doubt. And, speaking of safeties, the Bat Daddy asked a question. Why haven't we looked into signing Earl Thomas yet? It may only be a one-year rental, but it shores up a part of our defense. I'd take the chance for a Super Bowl shot. Even if we won the Super Bowl with him, it wouldn't be hard for him. It would be hard for him to want to leave. And this is something a lot of Panther fans have been talking about, because one of the things we haven't brought up yet is we renegotiated, or we worked around Luke Kuechly's contract, and we cleared up around $5 million of cap space. And a lot of people...
As well as today, we also restructured Matt Kalil's contract, which opens additional money up. I don't know what those funds are just yet, but Matt Kalil restructured today. So it does appear that Carolina is not going to just stand pat. The question is, do they go offensive lineman and try to find somebody? I think that they're going to try to make it work. I think they're optimistic about Daryl Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. I don't know. Who would you rather have, T-Money? An offensive lineman that is of substance, or someone in the secondary who is of substance?
Tough.
It looks like he froze up. Joe, I'll let you take that. You said it was tough.
Yeah, that's really tough, man. I think I would go offensive line, just because I feel really, really uncertain about the depth there. So I would think I would go offensive line.
Cody, how about you?
So when it comes to Earl Thomas, I feel like it would be similar to Tyrann Mathieu with the Texans. You're probably signing a one-year contract, because he's holding out with the Seahawks. He wants more money than the Seahawks are willing to pay him. So we would have to trade for Earl Thomas to even get him. One of the things I'm disappointed in is there's a rugby player that the Eagles drafted. His name is Jordan Mailata, and they're saying this is 6'7", 350 pounds, and he made their 53-man roster, and he never put on a helmet until January, man. That seems like a guy that if you knew about him, that should have been the guy that you traded for, not Greg Robinson. The Lions have been very disappointed in what Greg Robinson has done since they drafted him. The Mailata guy may have been unproven, but I would have really liked to have seen him on our team. Honestly, right now, man, I don't even know who you pick up. I don't think there's a lot of guys out there at safety or offensive tackle that are really going to be able to provide something meaningful right now that you're not having to pay a ton of money to.
Lynn has confirmed, or Lynn has suggested and stated that she believes the tweet that I saw about Kalil restructuring
the Matt Kalil was a fake tweet.
Was a fake. It's been secondary supported by Shaked Bartel. It said that it's 100,000%, 10,000% fake. Now we got it tripled sourced with T-Money here. So I was wrong about that. Ideally, though, is that, probably restructuring his contract wouldn't help that much. It would probably just prolong the pain and suffering we have with him. Okay, T-Money,
exactly, because we can get rid of him next year. We can get rid of Matt Kalil next. All right. So he struck where he would get more money down the line, and then you would have to keep him, especially if Martin works out. I just hope that if Martin is playing well these 8 games, Ron will stick to his guns and play the talent over the name.
Fantastic. All right, T-Money, look, we're going to move on to the next segment. Can you tell them how they can follow you on Twitter and where they can find you on YouTube as well?
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at tmuhammad23. YouTube, my YouTube is Mr. T-Money 1993. If you have it and you get a laugh, I by no means Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, whoever you want to name that raps. But I did rap my week 1 predictions as far as who I thought was going to win this week and who.
So give us your pick. Give us your pick. We're going to check the rap out, but what's your pick?
I got the Panthers. I think they actually. I don't think it'll be a nail, but I think we went big, just really shutting to be. So I 31-14, 31-17, something like that.
All right. That's T-Money in the house, a.k.a. St8 Facts, man. Thanks for being back on the show. We're going to get you back lots more throughout the season.
Check him out, y'all. He's spitting bars, straight bars.
All right, guys, let's go on to this. I did one thing that I wanted to say is this stuck out to me when it comes to the discussion about this roster. I thought this was the craziest thing that I heard. This is where I don't know, like where Ron Rivera says this, you're like, dude, he just is talking to the media. And here we go.
Some of the harder decisions for you, I assume Kenyon was one of them.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. He had a really good camp too, and you know we got a pretty good position there. And you know, he'll play in the league. He's too good a football player not to. You know, what we had to do with wide receiver was another one. I mean, because some guys had some really good camps. Offensive line was stacked. You know, what we had to do with wide receiver was another one because some guys had some really good camps.
The offensive line was stacked. What kind of nonsensical mess was that, guys?
I had to do a double take. I'm like, this is what everybody said.
Did you see I shoved in confused Britney Spears there?
I do.
And thinking that defensive line.
Oh, I don't know. I hope. I do not know what my man was saying.
What he said. That doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And I mean, maybe all of our starters, if you want to consider them stacked, which I don't even still, that's kind of a fetch on offensive line. But he's damn sure not talking about depth because, you know, we let go of Blaine Colossal and we brought in Corey Robinson. Yeah, the word stacked is not it's not a word I would have used. Yeah, it was a really big reach. And I also feel like Ron Rivera, you know, when we talk about it with Bill Belichick and people like that, but Ron Rivera has a real disdain for the media. So I kind of think he believes he can just kind of say whatever, and in the end it doesn't really matter because that's just a secondary part of his job. His job is to coach. So I don't know, man. It's one of many weird Ron Rivera interviews.
You know, I was wondering because you've been talking about this about Cody about how Ron Rivera hates to go and talk about injuries, right?
He hates
that's the way. So it was Panther. Let me see, Panther P on Twitter. He said this to me. You can find him at Panther Pickle. We have a DM chat that's going that's really run by Panther Nasty, right? And so behind the scenes, there's about 6 of us that always have this chat going on. And he said that when he was talking about, we were talking about this Ron Rivera talking about Curtis Samuel, and he said this: Ron won't tell much. I hope I'm not stepping out of line because it's DM. Ron won't tell much on any injury. Joe Person screwed that up. And I said, what did Joe do? Because I didn't know specifically what he's referencing. But now this really sounds like when he brings it back, I remember the Luke in the concussion protocol was problematic for this team in the way that the coaching staff talked about it, handled it. But he said this a few years back, Luke was in the concussion protocol, and Ron said he thought Luke would be back because he looked good at practice and in the locker room. So when the doctor said he couldn't play that week, Joe called the league office and said Ron wasn't being truthful about it. So there is a little, if that's the case, you got the whistleblower and Ron being even more interesting. All right, guys, look at this. Is that I'm going to go ahead. Let's start the cat calls, guys. And as we start these up, I also just got a message from Dr. David Chow. He's got something up on the Curtis Samuel. I'll look into that. And here we go.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Hello?
Yeah, I think he just stopped his broadcast. Hold up. Yeah. Well, alrighty then. Now, hold on.
I hope he didn't crash.
No, he didn't crash. He had to step away for a sec, so he stopped his. Wow. He stopped his broadcast. Yeah. Maybe he'll realize it when it comes back. All right, so it's just me and you, Joey, until Tony realizes the errors of his ways, man. Wow, funny.
All right, well, let me ask you this, Cody. What do you think they're going to do with Anderson?
With CJ Anderson, I'm kind of hoping, obviously, that Christian McCaffrey gets the bulk of the snaps. And I think that we know he will. But I want CJ Anderson to, really come in, maybe on some goal line situations. Let him get the ball, with 15 yards, nearing the end zone. I think that's a situation where he thrives. Also, I feel like one of the things he proved in the preseason was that he's a lot better of a pass catcher than he's been before. He really worked on it, and he was able to show that that's a part of his game that wasn't really utilized in Denver. So maybe we can bring him in to show some different looks and have him be kind of like a perfect complement to Christian McCaffrey, man.
And hey, man, I don't see why there wouldn't be plays where both of them were in the game at the same time. Because then you can really do some interesting things and move McCaffrey out to receiver, or put Anderson, line him up as fullback, and McCaffrey behind him. You can really confuse the defense and make them, maybe make some mistakes that the Panthers could take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think he's too talented to keep him on the bench for long periods of time. Like I said, I think if he can get 10 touches a game, we should, be a contributor.
Yeah, so Tony's back joining us now, and we got to fill him in. When you stop your broadcast, we weren't able to hear the cat calls. So,
that makes sense. All right, well, let's go back at it. I guess I should have just muted my camera rather than stopping my broadcast. Thank you. We're learning the kinks, folks, of the new platform, but it's working, guys. Look, the cat call section of the show, or a segment of the show, is where you can have your voice heard on the C3 Panthers podcast. You can call and leave a voicemail anytime using the cat calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. Reminder to Tony, when you sneak away, just mute your camera, especially when you're trying to.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
So
how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Cat Chronicles, this is Winnie, man. What's up? What's up? Enjoy the show every week. You guys do a great job. Best Panthers podcast out there. A couple things from the last preseason game. Two players disappointed me. Lorenzo Dawes, I thought he was going to be a viable option coming into the season as a the depth guy, but last night kind of exposed him a little bit. I don't think he's quite ready for that. And as much as I hate to say it, man, us Panthers fans, we got to stop pretending that Vernon Butler is good. I don't think he's good. I think if we felt confident with his abilities, then we would not have went out and got Dontari Poe. I don't think he's quite ready yet to step up and be a great, depth guy for us. I know he'll make the team, obviously, but I just don't think he's good. On the offensive side of the ball, Mose Frazier, man, that's going to be a tough decision. I think he's improved over the last couple of years. He's been with the program for a couple of years. He's going to get picked up if he gets put on the practice squad. But so it's going to be some tough cuts right there at the wide receiver position, man. That's pretty much it. Oh, one more thing. I think the most beneficial thing from last night was the other team. Dobbs and Randolph are really good options to be our backup quarterback. I don't think our backup quarterback is really on the roster. I don't think Heineke or Gilbert really impressed enough to make us feel comfortable with either one of them being backup quarterback. But let me know your thoughts, man. Enjoy the show again. Y'all have a good day. Keep counting.
Great call there. I agree. Is that, look, Vernon Butler, you want to talk about the biggest draft disappointment maybe of the Dave Gettleman era. Well, it's a kind of a toss-up. Yeah, is that, at least you got a little something out of KB. Vernon Butler has not even looked to have made a large impact in this preseason when he's been playing against the twos. You just got to wonder, was Dave Gettleman overly fixated on the Hog Molly thing? And maybe it's not that Vernon Butler is so much a bust, but a bust first rounder and could have been and was really truly a fourth rounder.
I'm sort of. Go ahead, Joey.
No, I'm saying that could very well be the case. He's got size. He moves fairly well. He's not where we would like to see him yet. He may still get there, but like Tony said, he may not have been a first rounder. He might have been a fourth rounder or a third rounder, and we made a move too early.
Yeah, he was definitely overdrafted, and it really pisses me off in hindsight because, this is what I always felt from the minute he was drafted. He was nothing more than an insurance policy. At that time, we had not signed K1 Short to a contract, and we hadn't signed Star Lotulelei. So we had two big question marks right where it mattered on our defensive line. So, but in my mind, how do you go and draft an insurance policy with your first round pick, knowing full well that you have every single intention of signing K1 Short to a contract? I don't understand it. That could have been a cornerback for us. That could have been Emmanuel Ogba, a defensive end out of Oklahoma State University that the Panthers were very high on, and he's been good for the Browns. That was really it was by far David Gettleman's worst pick by a mile. Kelvin Benjamin had a good rookie season for us, and then obviously we all know what happened later. But Vernon Butler hasn't done anything, and I don't think that he's going to.
And it's sad. This is that look is we can try to defend Butler and protect him from hyper criticism and fans just going crazy. But the fact of the matter is you did draft him as a first round pick, and a relatively is that being a first round defensive tackle, if you make that first round, you're supposed to be pretty darn legit. And you might, and we gave him protection for a year. It's not like he had to come in improve it from day one because you had you had Star, you had KK, and then you had to go and get Don Terry Poe. I think that, like you said, not only was it insurance policy, I think more so it was leverage to be used against these guys. So you didn't feel like you had to be pushed into a corner to talk about it. So interesting talk right there. Let's keep going through here. I think, go ahead. Yeah, a couple of other things in that call. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, real quick. I just want to say, I was so on board, and that I think it was last year. I wanted us to draft Joshua Dobbs so badly. That would have been the perfect backup for Cam Newton. I said it way back when. And now you see what that guy is doing for the Steelers. He won out the backup position over Mason Rudolph, who they just drafted this year. And Mason Rudolph is a big, strong quarterback, and yet Joshua Dobbs won over him. That was the reason why we lost that final preseason game, is because Joshua Dobbs, he just stole all the momentum from us really early. That guy is definitely
threw the ball. They threw the ball like 35 times in the first quarter. I feel like they were just trying to torch our secondary, and boy, were they doing it. And I think they were real. They didn't try to run the ball at all. I've been a Josh Dobbs fan since he was at Tennessee. I got to see him a little bit when I was watching Kamara and some stuff. Didn't watch a ton of him, but I thought, man, this guy looks like he has the athleticism, the arm to play in the NFL. Then you throw in that he's like not an astro. It's like what is it? It's somewhere.
He's a rocket scientist, a literal rocket scientist.
Yeah, so it sounds fun. It sounds awesome, the astrophysicist. But here's a quick story for you guys from the 4th preseason game. So I've been a Dobbs supporter. Jordan Rodriguez comes out and goes, hey, this may be a guy. She puts out a story or something to the effect and a tweet that says, you might be looking at the Panthers backup quarterback. He just may not be on the Carolina Panthers. And I tweeted her back and I said, hey, look, Dobbs has the athleticism, he has the arm, and as a rocket scientist, he has the intelligence, but he lacks eyebrows. And I don't know if that goes into the evaluation process. So Jordan Rodriguez, a little snowflakeish back in the return, says, dude, he's got alopecia and does great work for kids. And this is where this story gets really great, because I didn't really first of all, I didn't know he had a condition, right? Second of all, he's in the NFL. It's like he makes millions of dollars. Like, I didn't make that mean of a comment saying that he didn't have no eyebrows, right? But so I said, dang, I said, I didn't know it was a condition. I thought my man just had thin brows. And this is where I inadvertently dropped the best line of the night. I said, how about you pull back a hair? And I did not at the moment. As I wrote it, I did not think that I was talking, hair, alopecia, but boy, did I let it keep going. I'm happy about that. There's no ice up needed there because Tony indirectly won.
You're a savage.
Hey guys,
Tony,
this is Waldo calling back in.
Waldo?
I know it's been a little bit, but a lot of stuff's been going on, so kind of dive right into it. Saw that Curtis Samuel had a little surgery or whatever it was to correct a issue. So hopefully that's nothing too serious. I saw he's going to miss week 1. Personally, really disappointed in that. Just as good as he looked during preseason, it's going to be a little disappointing not to have that weapon out there on the field. But there's the bad. There's also the good. Matt Kalil is on injured reserve. So,
there it is.
Hopefully
also
that means,
the good. Had to throw it in there.
We won't have to deal with him for a little while, and there's no excuses with his big contract to have him out there. So hopefully we can solidify that left tackle position without him, make moving on from him a little bit easier. But as far as the 53-man roster, I didn't see too many surprises. Kind of went down the way I thought it would go. Very, very happy that we maintained Baby Byrd. So hopefully we'll get to see him out there doing something other than just punt and kick returns. Hopefully we'll get to see him with some wide receiver duties, especially with Samuel being out the first week. But, yep, just wanted to call and say that. Keep pounding, guys.
All right, I do want. Thanks, Waldo, for the call, man. We really appreciate the listen. I think that one of the things that's interesting about this Curtis Samuel talk is that I messaged immediately Dr. David Chow, who is the @Pro Football Doc, and writes for the San Diego Tribune. We've had him on the show before, and I said we need your insight. And he said he's already posted a story. He already messaged me back and said, check it out. Says, quote, no question the situation was treated seriously, but this probably will be a blip on the screen for Curtis Samuel and the Panthers. He says, look, I haven't seen any of the EKGs or anything like this, but he said the most common irregularity is atrial fibrillation, where there is an abnormal electrical signal to the heart. This is often treated with medication, but sometimes players feel groggy or somewhat unsettled on the medication, and an ablation procedure where the source can be destroyed is performed instead. He said this typically, he goes on to write, this typically is a minor outpatient cardiac procedure where a small tube is inserted into the vessels. It does not seem that Samuel will miss. It says it does certainly seem likely. It does certainly seem likely that Samuel will miss the Panthers preseason opener, but an absence beyond that should not be anticipated. He said, in my 17 years as an NFL team physician, we encountered several of these situations, and most of the times it never became public. So there's some real insight from the doc. Thank you, Pro Football Doc. You're the man.
The doctor dropping hot knowledge.
I know. Is that so? There's where we're at, and yes, I will send you this link on Twitter, Lynn, right away as I go on to play the next call.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is the world famous G. Cavassier.
The world famous G. Cavassier.
It's football time. Season starts on Thursday.
Yeah, it is.
All the rest of the games gonna be on Sunday. Now let's talk about my Panthers really, really fast. I'm excited to see what we were going to do this year. This is my predicament, 13-3. Yes, I said it, 13-3. That's my predicament. I see us winning the South. I think our defense is going to shut a lot of people the hell up this year.
Oh.
And the only other thing I have to talk about, I'll look online and, when I read people's Twitter messages and stuff like that every now and then, and a lot of people saying that, DJ Moore is going to be a bust because he really didn't get a lot of receptions during the preseason. Now, this is just my opinion. Maybe he didn't get a lot of receptions because he got caught speeding. You never know. I think Robert Harris will pull something like that to this youngster, but I believe this dude has potential. I believe him having at least 7 touchdowns this year. I'm dead serious. With the combination of him and Devin Funches and Curtis Samuel and Greg Olsen, it's gonna be good. I'm telling y'all, just sit back and watch. All these daggone Falcon fans who I cannot stand, all these Saints fans and all these Buccaneer fans, they are gonna get down on their knees and understand that the Panthers run the South. Run the South. We're the best football team in the South. I said that for years, and people always doubted me and said that, you guys are, the Cowboys are. We want to shut the Cowboys down this Sunday. I said it once, I said it again. The Cowboys are the most overrated team in the NFL. The most overrated team in the NFL. So we about to show these boys that, Dak Prescott is about to get exposed. So y'all give me your opinions about, DJ Moore and everything like that. And remember, always keep pounding.
What a great call, G. Cavassier, with the bold prediction. big DJ Moore speeding to the finish line there.
Yeah, man. Listen, I want to hear what Joey has to say about this, but I will say that DJ Moore, with Curtis Samuel not being able to play, he has a real opportunity in front of him right now to really show out in the first NFL game of the season. It's an opportunity for him to kind of be that separation guy and that downfield threat that we're kind of missing right now. And, I mean, it's an opportunity for DJ Moore to show out.
Yeah, I think he'll get a chance. Everybody moves up one spot because Samuel's out. So I think we will see a fair bit of DJ Moore in this first game. And it'll be really exciting to see what he's able to do.
I tell you one thing, guys. Joe, the thing that's interesting, we talked about this roster for a good 25 minutes earlier in the show, and I've been we had a lot of guests cycling in at the time. We were trying to do a lot. This was the first night that we've used the platform and had a lot of outside people involved, and I think it went really well. But one of the things I got distracted from is, Baby Byrd flew out of the nest. We released Baby Byrd from the nest, but we didn't release him from the team. We said fly high into the 2018 season. Damiere Byrd made the 53-man roster. There was a lot of questions about him when it comes to always being on the bubble. How are you going to deal with this? I saw a lot of chatter and chitter about now that Curtis Samuel is hurt, this is why you keep a Damiere Byrd. I don't think that's the case. I think Damiere Byrd offers you a lot more on punt returns and kickoff returns. We haven't seen much out of Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore in this capacity, but Byrd has proven himself as a receiver, and I think this is that while everybody has moved up a notch because Curtis Samuel is there, this is a pretty crowded room, and right now I think Funchess, Torrey Smith, and Jarris Wright are going to be the three, because now with this setback for Curtis Samuel, and then you're going to be continuing to try to figure out how do we work in DJ Moore, how do we work in? It's almost DJ Moore is going to have, I think his numbers before we saw some of the wide receivers and maybe a Curtis Samuel, before we saw continue to see DJ Moore, and before even T Money got impressed by Jarris Wright, is that we were thinking at the beginning of the season DJ Moore would have a lot of fantasy value, that Norv Turner had a plan for him. But right now, to me, I think they're going to be slowly working this guy in.
Yeah, I think so. I think... Go ahead, Cody.
Go ahead, Joe. Well, I was just going to say, it depends on how they're able to work him in. They might want to start him slow, but listen, man, sometimes you don't get that luxury. If you want to stretch the field, I very easily see us playing both Damiere Byrd and DJ Moore a lot coming up this Sunday. I think that they're going to be pretty integral for us. And also one of the things they didn't say enough is this is a primetime game. We're on at 4:25, so more eyes are going to be on us than almost any other team, especially if we're having trouble moving the ball down the field, which I'm hoping that we don't. We're going to need those types of guys. So I don't see them having that luxury of being able to kind of pump the brakes and use them in slow. It's the NFL, man. It's time to go now.
I want to give a shout out to Floyd Wild 315. He said, "Good show, guys. I've been listening to the podcast for a couple of years. We appreciate it, Floyd. Is that we try to just hang out and talk football with you guys each and every week, and we still have more calls to get through tonight."
C3, what it do? It's Money Bags. Joe, what's happening? Codeus, my dude. And can't forget Tony Dunn, Simmons of Panther Nation. What's up?
My man call me Bill Simmons.
I just want to give y'all guys a couple quick nuggets. My breakout player of the year this year for defense is gonna be FA. I'm gonna say he gonna have 5 sacks this year. And On offense, I'm going to say Curtis Samuel. I can see Curtis having between 600 and 700 yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns. And that's about it, man. I think we should win big this week, but at the same time, for us, that's not a good thing. Anytime we're supposed to win big, it's not a good outcome. But yeah, tell me what y'all think. Keep pounding.
I tell you this, the 5 sacks from Abada seems pretty crazy town until you remember that Ryan Dallaire had 2.5 sacks in 9 games played with 0 starts with the Carolina Panthers in 2015. So when you think of Ryan Dallaire and how little he looked out there, he looked smaller than Marquise Haynes, and Obata has the body for it. It might not seem. I'll meet you in the middle. Let's go 3 sacks, Obata.
What you think, Joe?
That's a tall order, though. Still,
I think that's very reasonable, especially when we have to play a team like Tampa Bay twice, and we get Cleveland Browns. You know what I'm saying? When we have teams like that, I think that's very possible.
Yeah, and keep in mind that in the NFL, the name of the game is rotating players. We're not always going to have Julius and Mario and KK and Dontario on every snap. We're going to have different guys on the line. So if Odaba's that guy, yeah, man, why not? Why is Wes Horton so much better than him? I don't know. Maybe someone else knows.
He's good against the run. He's good against the run, right? And that's the thing. Is Horton isn't a penetrator. He holds the edge. He's not going to give up much. And that's where these younger ends struggle. Is that look? Everybody knows what you're supposed to do when you say go get the quarterback, right? And now you just get to him however you can get to him. The problem is when your mission entirely is to get the quarterback, and if that running back gets the ball, to not let them cut back and destroy you on the back end, and you're the guy that's holding contain. So the younger guys usually struggle with this. I was impressed, though. Look, we've seen Mario Addison improve leaps and bounds of this throughout the year. I think Mario Addison is a 3 down. He's no longer a specialty defensive end. He's the real deal. Look, and how are you not? You got 10.5 sacks or 11 sacks or whatever it was last year. But I think you're right, Cody. There is going to be opportunity there, particularly as games get deeper and you rotate fresh legs after fresh legs in there. Maybe you do say, Obata, step in for Julius Peppers and go get the quarterback.
Yeah, it's not far-fetched, man. We'll just have to see, man. We're going to need a lot of guys that we don't normally call on to be able to step it up.
All right, we appreciate everybody listening. I'm going to encourage you to smash the thumbs up button, like the podcast on Facebook, Periscope, share it all. We still got more cat calls. This show has been crazy tonight. A lot to come. We still have to talk. I mean, look, this is our preseason opener show, so it was expected there was a lot to cover.
C3 Nation, this is Mario. Used to be in the Clay, now in LA. Stuck in traffic on the 405 on a Tuesday afternoon. Probably going to miss the podcast this week because of the time difference, but that's okay. I wanted to share my excitement for the oncoming season, and I wanted to share my concern, which I think the biggest for the team is going to be keeping Cam upright in the line. Professor, I know you were saying last week that maybe Matt Kalil would be serviceable, and that's not happening. So can we keep a healthy O-line? So we've seen 4 weeks of the preseason. We've also seen the first week of college football just as a welcome back to football, right? So, Joey, your Tigers look good. And here's my question for you guys. I'd like your predictions on the college Final Four and the NFL Final Four, meaning the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game. And bonus points, what is the over-under on how many sacks Peppers has this year. If I set the line at 6.
That's way too low.
All right, fellas, that's all I got for you. I'm excited for a new season of the C3 podcast as well. You guys keep on keeping on, and I'll see you next Tuesday night. All right, I'm out.
Yeah, that's my boy,
all right.
Mario Marcioni. Such a great, and
wonderful.
Where credit is, give credit where credit is due. The whole Cat Calls line was Mario's idea. He said, this would be a great part of the show. And we went and did it. And he's been amazing in the process. Mario, Lynn says, yep, the 405 is just awesome. So, guys, there was a tall order there. Is that, look, we've got the man, talk about putting you on the spot. Charlotte Vibe would not have been happy with this question.
No, he would not.
What we could do you think, do we start let's start with college football. For me, it's pretty simple. I think you're going to get, I think Clemson's in. I think Clemson, I'm going to go Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, because I got to stick with my home dogs. That's my wife's family team. And the outlier being Notre Dame.
You were looking at something, weren't you?
No, just guessing because that's the only teams that I was thinking. Look, I said Notre Dame looked pretty good against Michigan. I like Georgia. I saw them play this weekend. How can you pick against Alabama and Clemson? Boy, they have just been unstoppable for the last 4 years. So that's where my logic came.
Yeah, man. I love me some college football. If you follow me on Twitter, you know, and I know Joey knows, I'm a diehard Clemson Tiger fan, man. I rock with Clemson hardcore. I know Joey does too. Tony kind of stole my thunder because originally I did have Michigan in the Final Four. I thought Jim Harbaugh this was going to be his year up in Michigan. That came to a screeching halt. But man, Notre Dame's defense against Michigan, dude, they have some NFL players on that team, man. They really do. So my this is in no order, but I got Clemson, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Alabama, and I'm hoping to see Clemson and Notre Dame in the national championship, or even Georgia. I wouldn't be mad at Georgia. And man, Clemson home and bringing home another natty, baby. Go Tigers! Oh, and
Joe,
the over. I bet the over for 6 sacks. Definitely
over all day is, unless Pepper's shoulder is messed up. Let's make it tough, and you move that number to 8. That gets a little hard.
Yeah, I think I didn't even say 9.
Yeah, but at some point, I think where Mario is and is suggesting here, which is realistic, is it's got to end at some time. But he's coming off his first surgery of his entire career. That's the most insane thing. This dude has been playing in the league since 2002 or 1, and he's never been injured.
Right.
It's insane. All right, Joey, who's your 4 on the 4 for the college football?
I think it's going to be Bama, Clemson, Georgia. And then I think it's going to be either Ohio State or this is going to be a shocker, Oklahoma.
Ooh. Yeah, apparently
I say Oklahoma because in their conference there nobody plays defense except Oklahoma. So I really think they got a shot to go back. And Ohio State, they're always competitive,
Yep, they are. And Joey Bosa's little brother plays for them too, and he's good.
He is very good. So I think them or
Oklahoma
will be the 14.
J-Dub says Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. So there's that. Now let's move on to the 4 challenge here. Who is it for the NFL, and I'm not going to start this time. So one of you guys take it.
All right, I'll go
Joey,
first.
run with it, man.
All right, we're going to see in the AFC, it'll be the Patriots versus the Jags in the AFC Championship. And then in the AFC, we're going to see Panthers versus the Eagles, man. I just think they're that good.
Ooh.
All right. What do you got, Cody?
Okay. All right, man. Coming out of the AFC in the AFC Championship game, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers playing in Pittsburgh against Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans.
Nice.
I think that is a really good defense for Houston. And, I mean, I already told you I'm a Clemson fan. Me and Joey already know that Deshaun Watson is the truth.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, the sky is the limit for him. And in the NFC, I mean, obviously, you know, I think the Panthers are going to represent. But I think I'm probably going to have to say the Minnesota Vikings. I think Minnesota's loaded. If Kirk Cousins can play for them and move the ball effectively. You know what? No. I'm throwing a curveball. J-Dub just put his suggestions in the chat. I'm not going Minnesota. I'm going the Rams. Aaron Donald is, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the NFL. Todd at running back, dude, they're loaded. I think Rams and Panthers and Texans and Steelers.
All right, my picks are Chiefs. I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs and the Steelers and the AFC. I think that I am not smitten with the Patriots this year. While they may make it, while they obviously are while they're front runners in their division and they're always going to make it there, like I said, I look for the Texans to beat them in week 1. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
That's the week 1 game. That's going to be a great game. Is that a 1 o'clock?
Yep, 1.
I will be watching that one.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the NFC, I'm going to go with your original gut. I'm going Minnesota Vikings and Carolina Panthers. Panthers a little homerish just because, but I do really think it's really realistic that we could make some hay this year. The Rams are a good team. I'm not betting on the Packers though this year. I don't think this year, and I think the Vikings are a better team than both the Eagles and. So that's where I'm going to go with here. And
oh no, the Eagles are pretty sick, man. Their defensive line is nasty. It's got to be one of the tops in the league.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got one last call. I think it's only a partial here.
And my man Greg has Carolina and Minnesota and the Steelers and the Jags. Batting 52.
Nice. I don't believe in the Pats. That's what I'm saying, T Money, is I'm telling you, is I think that the dang Chiefs could be the secret team out of the AFC this year.
I think it's great. I think it's wonderful for the Panthers. And Sunday, we're going to do our things. We're going to send those Cowboys back with those cowboy dresses on, and we're going to fly back to Charlotte, North Carolina with the win, like always. And we'll see y'all at the Super Bowl.
All right. Oh, right that one.
Except for good news is we don't have to fly back to Charlotte. We're going to send them flying back to Dallas, a bunch of losers. And why don't we go ahead and on that call right there, let's go ahead and he's saying, T-Money, here he goes. Now he says, he said Tony must believe in Pat, not the Pats, in Pat Mahomes, he was saying. I forgot that.
Right on.
All right. No, well, yeah, maybe. I believe in Andy Reid. That's who I believe in. I think he's a great coach. And boy, I think there's electric talent on that team that's kind of hidden. The question is their defense. Nobody has really looked at it. Haven't been, but you know what is they've always had a pretty solid defense. So I'm not worried about it particularly at this point. But it's kind of like one of those things. We got to pick somebody, and I don't want to pick the Jags, and I don't want to just pick the regular people. So, all right,
I hear you completely, man.
On that last call, let's just go ahead and throw our picks out for this week's game. I'm going to start us off because I feel very confident about this week. I think the Panthers smoked the Dallas Cowboys. The reason that I feel this way is that I think our defense matches up against our offense tremendously. Is that I watched their second preseason game, guys, instead of their third preseason game because they didn't start Dak. They didn't start half of their starters in the third preseason game. They went ahead and took them out early. So I felt that week 2 game against the Cincinnati Bengals would be the best indication of what their team looked like. And here's what I came away with is that both teams are undisciplined. They had 16 penalties in that game combined. 10 came from the Cincinnati Bengals. 9 of those must have came from Cedric Ogbuehi. He was terrible, jumping everywhere. It was awful. But there were 6 penalties against the Dallas team. They looked undisciplined there on both the offensive line and the defensive line. But here's where I think we match up well. We got to stop Zeke. We know what we got to do against the Cowboys.
Yes.
If we put this game on Dak Prescott, now I don't think Dak Prescott is a bad quarterback. I don't think he's incapable of throwing. But what I saw from that receiver group, guys, was I saw a receiver group where you had Terrence Williams or whatever his name is, who looked like the biggest of them all. And he's not a big guy necessarily. Allen Hurns is probably their best receiver, not a big guy. I would argue, and then who they got, that one white guy that is like their version of Cooper Kupp.
Right.
What I think is that their receiver group is meant to dink and dunk. And I think that our linebackers can help a secondary for us enough in the dink and dunk game. I don't think that this wide receiver group has enough to stretch it over the top. I think we're a little faster in the secondary. I think that while their offensive line is very good, it's going against our strength in the defensive line. So if we can contain Zeke, I think this game is ours for the taking. Now, their defensive line is strong, but I'm banking on this. Norv Turner, Christian McCaffrey, and Cam Newton electrifying. That's what I'm betting on. So I'm betting on a blowout. I'm betting on this somewhere in the range of 27-13 Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, I like that, man. I like that a lot. Joe, you want to go next?
Yeah, I think Carolina just has it's just a more talented team. Simple as that. They just have more talent in more places. And I think it won't be very close, but I see Carolina winning 26-10.
Wow, he's with me. He's with me.
How about field goal?
Dare I say, gentlemen, we might have a three-peat going on here because I'm thinking the same thing as you two. I think this is a statement for us. Also, remember that there should be a shiny Panthers logo smack dab at midfield. The start of a new season with a new owner. Guys, I'm gonna put it out in the universe. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But this is where I'm going. I'm saying 35-10 Carolina. I think Zeke. I think Zeke will get one touchdown, and that'll be later in the game, maybe sometime in the late third or fourth quarter, probably the fourth, knowing us. But I think it's a statement game, man. I think one of the better offensive lines in the NFL is about to get smacked in their face here in Carolina, and I'm about it. We're about it. I'm ready to see it. Let's baby, let's go.
There you go, guys.
That's good news, people.
That's good news, people.
It's good
Look,
news.
I really feel good. I feel good about this, but at the same time, we've been proven wrong. You know that Cam Newton has a propensity to start out slow at times.
Yeah.
Let's get a little dirt on his jersey right away. Their defensive line, look, is it keep people keep talking about how the damn Cowboys defense so much better. Last year they were so much better. Now, I didn't watch them as closely last year, but I'm going off of this is I got to see more to believe it. And I got to see more.
Yeah.
And the reason that is that I've seen the Cowboys for the last 5 years. And while their offensive line got better, I know they've invested similarly on the defensive side. I got to see them do better too. I haven't seen enough of that yet. The offensive line for us is good enough to get through week 1. I say it's a blowout. That's what maybe it's a little homerism there. Guys, we have gone for 2 hours and 15 minutes and we still haven't gotten to our ice up picks. This might be the longest podcast in C3 history. Been a lot of people coming in and out, a lot of content. And I tell you what is while this is the longest show in C3 history, we had over 25 people watching for upwards of 2 hours, which to me, I can't thank you guys enough, even for the people that are still here. Thank you so much. You guys are such great supporters of the show. And it's only going to continue to get better as we integrate this Shindig platform. What we want to do as we go forward is have a 10-minute blast through of Shindig callers. So if you are interested in getting your mug or just your voice on the C3 Panthers podcast live, download the Shindig app or join that through a link I provide in the YouTube show notes. You can be featured on the C3 Panthers podcast, and we're going to get smoother and better at this. And I think it was a great night. Cody, so thank you so much for producing the show behind the scenes. You did a great job tonight, and you are certainly not getting the ice up by any means. No ice there needed. Let's get in here and jump in and talk about these ice up picks. Who wants to start?
You want to go, Joey?
No one's...
I mean, it's fine. That's fine with me.
It's fine. It's fine.
I can't be doing this 11 o'clock stuff. I gotta get on a machine and get going. All right. My ice up pick this week. I'm going back to church. I guess she's the godmother of soul. Is that what they call Aretha Franklin? She passed away recently. And it's a big loss for the entertainment world. Well, they had a very big, my God, it was almost like a concert for her funeral. And it was emceed by Pastor Charles Ellis, Bishop Charles Ellis III. He was the MC for all intents and purposes and introduced the various stars as they were coming on to do their performances or make their statements, whatever they were going to do. Well, there was some uproar on social media about his, for lack of a better term, groping of Ariana Grande while he was escorting her up to the mic or up to the
podium, whatever it is.
Yeah, podium, exactly. And if you look at the pictures, it does look like his hand is a bit high on her body. Of course, he adamantly denies this and said, he was kind of hugging male and female stars as they came up. Well, anyway, I think he should have realized what he was doing there on stage and should have apologized to Miss Grande at that point and immediately removed his hand, but he kind of let it linger, and I think that's where people sort of got uncomfortable with it. And it just concerns me, again, you know, a representative of the church being a little too physical with members, you know, people he is associated with. So for this week, again, Bishop Charles H. Ellis III, you gotta ice up some. You gotta keep those hands in your pockets, brother man. That way you can't be getting too frisky with the young ladies.
Yeah, he felt the softness of the side boob, and exactly. It got a little bit further than side boob. It was creeping the front boob. That
at a funeral though, it's so nasty, dude.
Exactly,
it was the lingering. It was the lingering, but here is that generally we wouldn't think somebody's groping somebody on television in front of everybody like they're going to get away with it. So to add to the ice up pick is my man said that he thought she should be something on the menu at Taco Bell.
Yep, about her last name.
Yeah. So, all right, so that's an ice up pick. Look, we know Joe's got to go. Joe, you go on and get out of here. You can follow Joe Riolano at Joe Riolano, and I know he's pumped up for this game. We're going to bring you more, and Joe, we will keep it tighter next week, my friend.
Oh yeah, I know. Like you said, it's the season opening podcast, so I figured it would run long. So we're good.
All right, man. Good night,
All
Joe.
right, guys. Thanks. Have a good
night.
Love
you, Joe. Have a great night, man.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and get on with my ice up pick. And I think I'm going to do this is I've got two things. My ice up pick goes to this gentleman right here. His name is his name's Thomas McCappelpin. McCappeln. I don't know. MCCALPIN. You can find him on Twitter at MCCALPIN Thomas. Now, this guy tweets and he says, in Tallahassee, Florida, currently about to make a Publix run. Anyone need anything like crab legs? Asking for my friends at Cameron Newton. So clearly that we know that this was a mistake, that this was a joke that has gone awry because you have mistaken the one black quarterback that you knew for the other black quarterback that you knew in Jameis Winston, right? And then this is where, though, it's like, look, joke gone awry. Panther Nation's going to give him a hard time. A lot of people were giving him a hard time. I didn't get upset until what later happened, and this is next, is that this is the follow-up and the apology that he put out there, where he then says to this, he says, look, I made an honest mistake when, and I can't even read it here, it's so small. He said, I made an honest mistake when going home from the University of Alabama season opener, right? Here, let me see, pop it up. It's about to pop up on my secondary screen so I can actually read it. It says, I made an honest mistake while road tripping from the University of Alabama season opener in Orlando while passing through Tallahassee. I own my mistake and apologize to Cameron Newton. The joke was intended to be about the suspended Bucs quarterback, Jameis Winston, as I know him personally. No, I don't just attend several football matches a year. I attend 10 to 12 annually, and it was all fun since we finally have our college football back. To you keyboard warriors, enjoy breaking down others' mistakes, and to all other fans, best of luck and enjoy the best of time of the year, Thomas. So this is when I had a meltdown, guys. I had a meltdown because I had just driven home 7.5 hours on I-95 from the Georgia game, full of family, the caravan with the in-laws trailer. I was tired, long weekend, tired. And I read this stupid nonsense from this guy about Cameron Newton. He's trying to make a joke. And I did drop some profanities at him and tell him the mistake he made here was trying to be funny. But it was this apology that really got me, because this is bullcrap. You didn't make an honest mistake, buddy. You were self-serving, trying to get attention in all of this because you tagged Cameron Newton. And if it was a mistake, you were trying to tag Jameis Winston. If this was a simple joke that you were making to have fun and you thought was funny, you wouldn't have tagged those guys. You would have just said their name. But when you tag those people, you're trying to put yourself onto a larger platform. So I don't buy the authenticity of this being an honest mistake. And then second, when he comes out and says keyboard warriors, like we're the ones that got to chill out, bro, you're the idiot that made this dumbass mistake, that made a mistake that like, oh, what do you mean you go to 10 or 12 games so you get to talk about football players then differently? I don't care. I have a podcast that I do every week for the last 4 years, and that doesn't give me any more permission to be an idiot than anybody else. I may be one, but bro, don't try to make us feel bad for talking shit to you with your fake apology and your little Twitter thing that says, hey, homeboy, look at me, low-hanging fruit. I'm going to take a jab at Cam Newton and act like I know something about football. You don't know squat, Thomas. You don't know squat. And boy, I'm telling you to ice up.
There it is. Ice up.
Whew.
So take a breath, man. Take a breath. Fan yourself. Cool off. Because I have a nice up pick for everybody tonight. And really, honestly, it's something that I wish for everybody. I hope you find somebody to look at you the way Bill Clinton looks at anybody else that isn't his wife, dude. Bill Clinton is staring down Ariana Grande, and you can just imagine the things going through Homeboy's head, man. Well, hey there, Ariana. You're looking like a thick snack, aren't you, sweetie? Listen, man. Listen, man. Bill Clinton is such a notorious perv. I'm going to try and pause it right on the moment that he looks like look, dude, he has the dirtiest thought right there. The dirtiest thoughts are going through this man's head, and he has absolutely no shame about it at all, man. At all. Listen, Bill. So, Bill, let me talk to you.
I like the sign in front of it that says like one Lord, and he's looking at her ass. Like
and meanwhile, Bill's like, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord. Listen, man. Okay, let me talk to Bill, because I know he's a fan of the show. I mean, who isn't, right? Bill, you're 74 years old, man. You know damn good and well that thing don't work anymore. Now, listen, I don't blame you. Your wife isn't exactly a looker. But when you're on national television at the death of an icon, maybe don't stare down the ass of the 20-something-year-old pop star, dude. Ice up, son. Good.
I love man. Bill. This just made him go up in my book, not down. What was that? I had one more thing to say about the what was it, Bill? Anyway, ice up, Bill. That man,
ice up, Bill.
He's that good. All right, guys, this is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night you can chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions with us. I know this was a long show, and if you made it to the end, congratulations, J-Dub. Congratulations, Lynn. You guys are the best. We encourage everybody to smash that thumbs up button, to subscribe to the channel, and to share the show. We were on Facebook Live tonight. We were on YouTube. We are on Periscope. Now we're on Shindig, where you can be a part of that conversation. We encourage you to download the app or to just join us using the browser on your computer. And it's a great time. We want to feature more of your discussion, more of you, and we're going to continue to work and get this organized. Cody produced the show tonight, and boy, did you kick butt. Thank you very much, Cody. How can they follow you on Twitter?
No problem, man. I'll do anything to see the C3 podcast grow into the full greatness that it deserves. We love you in the chat, Lynn and J-Dub and all the people that rock with us. Don't forget to hit the like button, y'all. That's really important. Like the video as soon as you come in. My name is Cody Lashley. You can find me on Twitter at CodyLack, CodyLac. I'm responsive. You can message me. You can at me. You can call me names. Just don't call me late for dinner, dude. Go Panthers. This Sunday, football is back, baby. Let's go. I love you. Thank you for joining us. That's all I have to say.
We got it. We'll see you next Tuesday night. Go Panthers. Keep pounding and whip those Cowgirls.
Bam.